What's up, Buff fans? My name is Malaina Humphreys, and I am joined by Jared Miller and Oliver Hayes, and welcome back to Week 3 of college football. This week, the number 18 Colorado Buffaloes are going to be taking on the Colorado State Rams for the Rocky Mountain Showdown here at home. Kickoff's at 8 p.m. Now, I have some fun stuff that I kind of want to get into regarding drama. There was a lot of beef last week with Matt Rhule and Deion Sanders, and it is just, kind of getting a little more elevated this week. Not with Matt Rhule, but with Jay Norvell, who's the head coach of Colorado State. In a press conference just this last Tuesday, there were some questions asked regarding the drama between Jay Norvell as well as Deion Sanders, and he said there was nothing, He said it was great that there's going to be two black head coaches on the sidelines for the first time. And then all of a sudden, just a few hours ago, there was a press conference that came out with Norvell, and this is what he had to say regarding Deion Sanders.
And I sat down with ESPN today, and I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me. So that was kind of a quick shot here at Deion Sanders, and they got his reaction at practice, and this is what Deion Sanders' response was.
Yes, sir. I'm minding my own business, watching some film, trying to get ready, trying to get out here and be the best coach I could be. And I look up and I read some bull junk that Deion said about us.
Talk to us.
Once again,
talk to us.
Why would you want to talk about us when we don't talk about nobody? All we do is go out here, work our butts off, and do our job on Saturday. Yes, but when they give us ammunition, they done messed around and made it what? It was just going to be a good game. They done messed around and made it personal. It was going to be a great test, a battle of Colorado, but they done messed around and made it personal.
He just said things were made personal, and we know what happens when things are made personal. We saw what happened with Shedeur Sanders meeting up with Matt Rhule just this last week when Matt Rhule went out to the 50. So I don't know if this is going to turn out the best for CSU, but I think that was an important point to be made. What do you guys think surrounding this drama, surrounding this beef? What are your thoughts?
I don't know if it was necessary for him to say, but I respect it from Norvell. There's so much media attention on this game surrounding Coach Prime, the Buffaloes, the in-state rivalry, ESPN, Fox. Like, everyone is here. This is the game that everyone has their eyes on again. Why not bring more attention to your program? You're in the media now. You have all the attention on you, whether it's positive or negative. I don't even think it's that negative, honestly. You got the attention, and he made the most of it and got eyes on his program.
See, and it was probably a smart move by him. I mean, we got ESPN Game Day here, Fox Big Noon Kickoff, who decided to kind of hunker down in Colorado and is just sticking it out here, 60 minutes, first take of Stephen A. Smith. It's all these things, and I do want to say, I think that is a lot of talk from a coach who went 3-9 last year and is currently 0-1 on this season. But what are your thoughts regarding the beef so far?
So I think the best way to wrap it up is no press is bad press. So I kind of agree with your point with what Jay Norvell might be trying to do. But also, I don't think Colorado would be overlooking this game, looking ahead to Oregon, USC, some of those bigger opponents. But they definitely had the potential to. And so I think for Norvell to kind of go out of his way to make a comment at Deion Sanders and make it an It's Personal Part 2 type of match, it's a little weird. It's bold. I mean, you kind of have to respect it, like you said. But why would you put that target on your back? I don't really know. So I mean, of course, if Colorado State comes out with a W, I mean, yeah, that's exactly the move that he should have made. But I think odds are pointing to a loss and potentially a really big bad loss. Yeah. And then it'll just be another part of the storyline, another coach that messed around and found out.
Kind of a nothing to lose mentality.
Well, yeah.
They're the underdogs.
Talk about putting a target on your back, though. Being here in Colorado at home, like, this fan base is completely different. Like, it'd be a different story if you're sitting here talking about it and you're playing up in Fort Collins, but you're down here in Boulder and you're sitting here slamming on Boulder's most beloved Coach Prime currently. You just know those students are going to pull up to Folsom, like, this Saturday night in their hats, in their sunglasses, and they're going to make a whole deal out of it. But, I think it just kind of adds to the atmosphere of the game. Could have been a smart decision, or it could just be like, a lot of talk. We really don't know, and I guess we will never find out, but he's going to find out. He's going to mess around and we're going to see what the end game is going to be this Saturday. But let's get right into it. What's going to be Colorado's keys to the game this Saturday?
I think their biggest key is just put the foot on the gas pedal and don't let off. This Colorado State defense will have over 500 yards in their week 1 matchup. They didn't play week 2. They had a bye week, which might be the worst bye week in college football. You get one game and then you don't get another one till late in the season. But Colorado showed they can put up some offense. They started slow against Nebraska, but if their offense is clicking and making that CSU defense able to 50 points work, then I think Colorado's defense will be able to do enough to keep Colorado State out of the end zone and the Buffs able to pull away.
We know on our offense that passing won't be a problem, right? Washington State put up 500 yards against CSU, and having like the top quarterback currently in the country, that's not going to be a big issue. I think where Colorado is really going to have to watch is first and foremost their tempo. So their tempo on their offense, it needs to be a little bit quicker. Because we saw whenever Washington State changed their tempo or put up a quicker tempo, CSU wasn't ready. So that's going to be those little grave mistakes that could have easily been fixed, but Colorado can cause. So I think that's going to be a big thing. I also think when it comes to our defense, they're really going to be needing to be attent when it comes to passing. So Colorado State, they originally had Clay Millen, who was their starting quarterback, and he was having a pretty rough game. He actually went out with a shoulder injury in that third quarter, and then they brought in Braden Fowler Nicolosi. Colorado State put up a majority of their points in that fourth quarter where Nicolosi was throwing, right? So he seems to be a very big deep passer. So Colorado's really going to need to watch those wide receivers, especially Justice Ross Simmons, who had 123 yards. He was the leading wide receiver for Colorado State. But I think if they're able to cover those gaps and just make sure that they don't have any run game as well as just covering those wide receivers, Colorado's going to be fine. And, that usually goes pretty left unsaid. They've held their own so far. But I think that's going to be a big key for Colorado this upcoming Saturday. What do you think, Oliver?
Yeah, I agree with everything that you guys said. I want to build off of Jared's point in saying that I believe that really there's not really a lot of things that Colorado has to worry about this game. The offense that Colorado State displayed against Washington State wasn't too eye-opening. The defense they displayed, even though they had I believe it was 10 tackles for loss and 3 sacks. They had pressure on the quarterback, kind of stopped the run game a little bit. Outside of that, there's really nothing that stands out. So I think it's really just about Colorado not messing around, making sure they step on the gas early, and kind of just making sure that they secure this win in the first half rather than the second half like they did against Nebraska. So pretty much just agreeing with what you said. And on the other side of things, you mentioned Ross Simmons, but Torrey Horton, he had 9 catches for 81 yards. And that kind of stands out to me over Ross Simmons because Ross Simmons had 4 less catches, and even though he had 123 yards, he had a 75-yard completion. So that's, take that away. Take away someone's biggest play. Of course, they're going to look a lot worse. But a 70-yard play isn't happening every time down. Of course, not anybody can have a 70-yard play, but really anybody can. You can have a slant. The cornerback misses. Okay, that's a 75-yard play. So looking at Torrey Horton, it looks like he kind of gets those 5 to 10-yard passes, getting first downs, those kind of dump downs, things like that. I'm a little worried about him. But besides that, Colorado, I don't really have to worry about their offense, I don't think. If they can get their run game going, CSU will definitely not have a chance. But, yeah, the passing game, as you mentioned, Washington State put up 466 yards. Shador, almost 1,000 passing yards through 2 games. Colorado has a strength in almost every aspect. So as long as they just come out, take care of business right away, I think that would just be their biggest key to the game. Although I don't think they have that many keys. If they had a keychain, it would be full of keys. It'd look like a janitor's keychain, Yeah,
they know what they're doing. They're the professionals. But looking to Colorado State, I do want to point out Nicolosi. He's a pretty young quarterback. This is going to be his first starting game this season. And just this last game, he went 13 for 20, 210 yards in that fourth. So I think that's going to be a really big thing. And I haven't seen him run much, but I think it's going to be kind of iffy when it comes to Colorado. I don't know what he's going to do. Personally, I think he's going to go for those big, long passes because that's probably going to be the best option that they have. I don't know if the run game is really going to be where they're going to be their strong suit. But they're really going to need, looking to the keys in the game for Colorado State, they're going to need to pressure the O-line. And Deion Sanders just had his press conference just this last Tuesday, and he talked a little bit about, their O-line. There were 7 sacks when it came to Nebraska. There were 7 sacks on Shador. And a big thing he said, it wasn't necessarily the O-line as a whole. It was just someone missing a play. Someone missing what they were supposed to do. So hopefully that is something that can be fixed. But I think if Colorado State decides to pressure that O-line and give Deion Sanders less time, he's really going to have a hard time making those completed passes. And we saw that a little bit in Nebraska. Now, he still had some really good passes. He's an amazing quarterback. He's doing a great job. But I think that's probably going to be one of the most important things that CSU can do outside of slowing down the clock and wasting time. I think that's probably going to be their best bet. Colorado's a very explosive team, so if they really take their time, try and slow it down and just run that clock, they can try to limit how big of a gap it's going to be in the end between Colorado and Colorado State. But what do you think are going to be some big keys to the game for the Rams?
Yeah, I think if their defense can disrupt the offensive line, that's their biggest key. I mean, 7 sacks is a lot to let up, and that was with Deion Sanders even escaping the pocket a bunch of times and extending plays with his legs. He still got taken down 7 times. So I think if Colorado State's defensive line can overpower the offensive line of the Buffs, that's their biggest key to the game, to really disrupt and shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado State's key to the game will be their D-line. As mentioned before, they had 10 tackles for loss and 3 sacks against Washington State. Those are pretty good numbers. They're better numbers than Colorado had against Nebraska. But on the flip side of that, they also gave up 1 million points and 1 million yards. So that's always not helpful. So, if they can keep that number down for passing yards specifically, that would be a huge key for them, is just the defense. It's just hard to pick out a specific thing for Colorado State when you look at their only game of the season being such a big loss. And you look at, they had 24 points, but when the 21 points come up in the fourth quarter, I believe the score was already, let me do some quick math.
29-3 heading into the fourth quarter.
That is, So I don't know. I believe not even a key to the game, but just a goal to the game for Colorado State is to just look like a football team. Don't get embarrassed. Show that you're a team that wants to come out and compete and back up at least a little bit of what Coach Norvell is saying. So that's more of a goal rather than a key, but I believe that's their biggest point.
See, that's funny, and I want to insert it right here. Even talking about that, even Joe Klatt said Colorado State does not look like a football team.
Colorado State coming to Boulder. Now, this is a big in-state rival, but these programs could not be any more different currently. Colorado State is not a good football team, okay? They got absolutely housed in their first game. They've only played 1 game, granted to a very good Washington State team. I think Colorado is much closer to Washington State than they are Colorado State. So you get where this game is headed.
So, that's a lot coming from Joel Klatt. And even, you're just sitting here and you recognize it, and Joel Klatt is just putting it on a whole nother pedestal, being like, they don't even look like a team. So I think that's a big thing. And I have another question, and I feel like I know the answer, but I still have to ask, who do you guys think has the upper hand?
It's hard not to say Colorado. They have the momentum. They're 2-0 with 2 Power 5 wins. Colorado State had a week off, but their first week they got destroyed by Washington State. Although Washington State is a ranked team, so still a good opponent. But I think Colorado has the momentum. They believe in that locker room. I don't even think, without any of Norvell's comments, that they would overlook this game. I just don't think that's how Deion Sanders would coach his team. And they have pretty much the world behind them right now. I think everyone's tuning in, looking at the Buffs, rooting for them. Aquanius St. Brown on the Bears said he would root against his alma mater, Notre Dame, to root for Coach Prime because he wants them to win. he just wants the Buffaloes to win in Coach Prime and Deion Sanders. I just said the same thing. He wants them to succeed.
Yeah.
So I think the Buffs just have the momentum with everyone behind them as well.
I could say exactly what you said, be redundant, but there's really no point in that. In every aspect across the board, Colorado is winning. So,
it's the prime
Colorado
effect.
has the edge. So.
It's the prime effect, man. And I do want to bring up matchup predictions from ESPN, and I will take what they say with a grain of salt to a certain extent, and I'll tell you why in a second. The matchup predictions is 88.1% CU, 11.9% CSU, so obviously Colorado's favored. But the reason I say I got to take it with a grain of salt is because they had theirs last week, and they favored Nebraska. They favored Nebraska by a good 9%, and I thought it was the funniest thing. I still can't believe it, and in case you don't believe me, The way I found out was actually through a TikTok. So I'll let you guys see that because I think it's hilarious.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
So that's going to be a really big deal. Now, the fun part, predictions. Jared, what is your predictions for this coming Saturday?
Oh, man. I was pretty close last week. Just want to humble brag a little bit. I was 5 points off. I don't know. This one's a little harder to predict, I think. But I think Colorado's offense is gonna put up numbers. So I'm gonna go 56 Colorado, and I think I'm gonna go 10 for CSU. I think the Buffs want this one. They don't want to take this one easy, and they want to put their numbers up. I also want to see Travis Hunter get in the end zone, whether it's a pick six or a touchdown or like a reception. I want Travis Hunter to get in the end zone.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to see Travis up in the end zone. That'd be fun. I'm excited to see what celebration he pulls out. But yeah, for my score, I mean, this game is hard because it's like, how much is Colorado going to win by?
That's the real question.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it was a similar score to the Washington State game, with CSU putting up some points in garbage time in that fourth quarter. So I'll go with a crisp 54-23. I believe that would be a scoregami if I'm not mistaken. So a few extra points if that's correct. But yeah, hopefully I can keep my streak of under 10 points within being in that realm for my predictions because I've been close. These past 2 weeks, I want to stick with that. So okay.
We're going to keep up with that streak of keeping it pretty close in line. I think I like the 50 range. I really do. I think I'm going to have to go 56-14. And the reason I'm keeping Colorado State so low is because, we haven't seen much of Nicolosi, right? We know he likes to pass. But we also have Trevor Woods and Travis Hunter. And I think we're going to see some interceptions, possibly a pick six, seeing Travis Hunter in that end zone. But I think their offense is really going to struggle this week. We have a really good defense. We saw it against Nebraska. So I'm 56-14. So keep your guys' eyes peeled this coming weekend. We got the Rocky Mountain Showdown here in Boulder. The Colorado Buffaloes are going to be taking on the Colorado State Rams inside Folsom Field at 8 p.m. You can catch live coverage on ESPN, but we will also have some more ScoBuffs members down on that field, up in that press box, so you will be getting live updates from our socials as well as checking out our channel. So, ScoBuff Sports, Malaina Humphreys, joined by Jared Miller and Oliver Hayes. Catch you guys this weekend.
You heard it here first.